We have breaking news here on Chicago Bears Now as the Bears have signed defensive back Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, also known as CJ Gardner-Johnson, to the active 53-man roster. And I got to say, I'm pretty shocked by this move. We're going to break it down in full detail for you guys, what it means for now, what it means for the future, and what it means for this organization, because I think this is a signal of something pretty significant if we didn't already know that to be the case. So all angles coming at you here on Chicago Bears Now. But before we get into all of that, please subscribe to the channel. I was getting ready to take my son to daycare, and this news broke. So he's watching his cartoons a little bit longer this morning, and then we're going to get going and get started with our day. So if you want to support the show, support the movement, hit that subscribe button. I will be in the studio with more content later today. But Chauncey Gardner-Johnson gets signed to the 53. And the reason I'm surprised by this is because one thing that Ryan Poles has pretty consistently done is try to sign guys with high character. Now, I think you could quibble with that a little bit. They traded for Chase Claypool, who Pittsburgh was ready to ship out of town because of character issues. Now, maybe the Bears didn't do enough research there. Maybe that was a calculated risk. Nate Davis, there was rumors around him when he left Tennessee. But for the most part, that is something Poles has really valued, and he's talked about it a lot. Now, maybe he's BSing, but he passed on Jalen Carter for those reasons and probably others. So that's why I'm shocked by this, because Chauncey Gardner-Johnson has seemingly outworn his welcome everywhere he's been. Despite being a very good player for the Saints, they traded him to Philadelphia after his third year in the NFL. The Eagles let him go to the Lions. He got injured there. They then brought him back last year, won a Super Bowl. He was a big part of that defense, and then they traded him for literally nothing to the Texans this offseason. It was like a pick swap and for like Kenyon Green, a guard who didn't even make the Eagles roster. But then he seemingly was not a fit in the Texans locker room, so they just outright cut him 3 weeks into the season. And then he goes to Baltimore, asks for his release off their practice squad about 3 weeks ago, and now he's here in Chicago on the 53-man roster. So this man is well-traveled in the NFL, especially in the last couple of years. There's no question about it. And so for those reasons, I am pretty surprised. Now, I'm not necessarily against it. In fact, given where you're at in your secondary and someone who can come in and help you right now, right away, and who is a good player, that's Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. He is clearly the solution to the nickel problem in the short term with Kyler Gordon out. I think he plugs in at nickel right away. He's kind of a nickel safety hybrid, but with you having Kevin Byard and Jaquan Brisker, he'll plug in there at nickel. They'll use some free safety looks with him as well. And hopefully if you get Tyrique Stevenson back this week with him and Nahshon Wright on the outside, you might actually be okay. So you don't have to give up a draft pick for trading for him, and he can help you right now, and he knows Dennis Allen's defense. He played under DA in New Orleans from 2019 to 2021. And by the way, full circle moment. I know you guys remember 2020, two Bears players got ejected in separate games against the Saints. One in the regular season when Javon Wims punched Chauncey Gardner-Johnson in the face, because CJ Gardner-Johnson, he will mix it up with opponents. He will talk trash. He will get under your skin. And the Bears fell for it. And it happened again in the playoff game when Anthony Miller punched him in the face after Gardner-Johnson was taunting him and got in his face. So it's kind of funny that 5 years later, the Bears bring him in, needing him right away. This is a fascinating move by the Chicago Bears. Here's the crazy part. Feels like he's been in the NFL a long time, right? And look, he has. This is his 7th season in the NFL. He's 27 years old. He got drafted he's 28 years old. He got drafted when he was 21, I believe. So, no, actually, he's still 27. He turns 28 in December. Like, it's kind of amazing. Now, do I view this as a long-term solution? Probably not, but he did spend his longest time in the NFL under Dennis Allen for 3 seasons. Who knows? Maybe you keep him long-term and he plays safety next year. Both your safeties are free agents. I think in the short term, he's going to play more nickel, be that kind of third roaming safety. But it's going to be very, very interesting to see how this works in the short term as you go up against Jamar Chase and T. Higgins this weekend, and if this can last at least through the end of the season, because it'd be nice to have this guy with his head on straight contributing for this Bears football team. What do you guys make of the move? Do you like it? Type Y for yes. Do you dislike it? Type N for no. Let me know in the comment section below. And then I want to talk about what this means from an organization standpoint, because I think this is pretty important, this type of move at this point in the season. But first, do have to tell you guys about our friends over at PrizePicks, as they are the best daily fantasy sports app out there. Get started at prizepicks.com/CLNS. Create an account today. Just pulling up my nifty little read here. Today's show is sponsored by PrizePicks. The hard-hitting football action is even better with PrizePicks. The weather might be changing, but the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on PrizePicks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. It's very easy to navigate the PrizePicks app, as you can toggle by sports and then specific stats, and you start selecting players, right? Hey, I want to take Caleb Williams more than 230.5 passing yards. That's a play I've got in one of my lineups this week. I want to take Chase Brown less than 52.5 rushing yards. That's an example of a two-player lineup right there. And then you submit that lineup, and if you hit, you win money. You can also do flex play lineups, which allows you to miss up to once in your lineups, which are up to 6 players, and you can still make money. A lot of different options with PrizePicks. So check it out today at prizepicks.com/CLNS. Download the PrizePicks app. Use our code CLNS to get $50 in lineups once you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups once you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. That link is in the comments and the description of this video. Okay, back to the breaking news of Chauncey Gardner-Johnson to the Chicago Bears. If we didn't think that Ben Johnson had more power in this organization than Ryan Poles, I think this is a signal of that. Now, Ryan Poles still has power. He still has influence. He still has say. I'm sure there's guys he brought in this offseason that it was, his idea, and, everybody agreed to it. Same in the draft, all that stuff. But Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, I think last year, if they're in this exact situation, and they were 4-3. They didn't have the DB injuries necessarily, but I don't think they make this move in the middle of the year to the active roster with Matt Eberflus's coaching staff, because Ryan Poles would have had final say on that, and I don't think he would have done that, given Gardner-Johnson's track record here of, seemingly outwarming his welcome, whatever the phrase is. I don't know the guy personally, but it seems pretty clear that teams move on quickly. So, again, this is a pretty bold. This is I don't think it's a huge risk, because you could just cut him if it doesn't work. It's not like you traded for him, but it's not like you're bringing in a guy with a squeaky clean NFL track record. Like, he's bounced around. I think this is Ben Johnson saying, we need help. Dennis Allen knows him, coached him for 3 years. Ryan, let's bring this guy on board. That's what this is a signal of to me. I think it's pretty clear that the coaching staff wanted this guy on board and said, hey, unless there's a trade out there where we don't have to give up that much, let's bring in a guy we know. If it doesn't work out, we can always just cut him. But even if he could just help for a few weeks, that would be a win at this point. Ideally, he can at least be here through the season. And who knows, if things go really well, maybe you sign him in the offseason as well. So going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. And, hey, maybe he's kind of reflected over the last 4 or 5 weeks and like, hey, I gotta be, again, I don't know what happened in Houston, but I got to be a little bit more of a team guy. Maybe that's something that he's realized. Who knows? I don't know what conflict he caused in Houston. I remember Aaron Wilson saying something along the lines of, there was a film study issue where they got on him and he didn't like that, and he was upset afterwards. So I don't know, but he's here now, can only focus on the present, and I'm excited to see what he can do. He's playing Sunday. If there's any doubt about that, he knows the system at least well enough, can pick it back up quickly, and they need him. Jaylon Jones, Nick McLeod, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, I know who I'm putting out there, even if he's not 100% with the verbiage and everything. I'm putting C.J. Gardner-Johnson out there. You don't bring him in to sit on the bench. with the risk he comes with. All right, that's going to do it for Chicago Bears Now. CJ Gardner-Johnson, welcome to Chicago. Take advantage of this opportunity. I think he can really help this defense if he is dialed in. My name is Harrison Graham. Hit that subscribe button. More coverage to come here on the channel.